Welcome to Csec Biology TCP. I am Mr. Wilson from the TCP Academy. Today we're looking at natural selection and the genetic variation from the Csec syllabus, which pretty much is found in the last section of your syllabus. Let us hop right into the lesson.
Natural selection and genetic variation, CC level. Natural selection is a process by which organisms that are better adapted to their environment are more likely to survive, reproduce, and pass on their genes. Over time, this leads to useful traits becoming more common in a population. However, for natural selection to work, there must first be genetic variation. What is genetic variation? Genetic variation refers to the differences in DNA and genes between individuals in a population. This variation can be caused by mutations, changes in DNA, sexual reproduction, mixing of genes from both parents, gene shuffling during meiosis. How genetic variation relates to natural selection. Genetic variation is like a template or a pool of different traits. Natural selection chooses the traits that help an organism survive and reproduce in its environment. Example: in a population of rabbits, some have white fur and some have brown fur. If they live in a snowy area, white fur makes it easier to hide from predators. White rabbits survive longer and have more babies. Over time, more rabbits in that area have white fur. Here, variation, fur color, allowed natural selection to select the trait best suited to the environment, white fur and snow. Summary: genetic variation provides different traits in a population. Natural selection acts on this variation by keeping traits that help survival. Over time, the population becomes better adapted to its environment. How natural selection plays a role in biological evolution. Biological evolution is the change in the traits, characteristics of a population over many generations. One of the main ways evolution happens is through natural selection. What is natural selection? Natural selection is the process where organisms that are better suited to their environment are more likely to survive, reproduce, pass on their genes. Those with less useful traits are less likely to survive and pass on their traits. How it leads to evolution. 1. There is variation in traits within a population, e.g. some birds have long beaks, some have short ones. Point 2. Some traits give an advantage, e.g. long beaks help get food more easily. Point 3. Birds with helpful traits survive and reproduce more. Point 4. They pass these traits to their offspring. Point 5. Over many generations, the helpful traits become more common. Point 6. The population slowly changes. This is evolution. Example: evolution of the peppered moth. Before the Industrial Revolution in England, most peppered moths were light-colored. When pollution darkened tree bark, dark-colored moths were better camouflaged. Birds ate more light-colored moths. Dark-colored moths survived and reproduced more. Over time, most moths were dark-colored. This is evolution by natural selection. In summary, natural selection chooses traits that help organisms survive. These traits become more common over generations. This leads to evolution, where a population changes over time. Natural selection plays a role in biological evolution, with examples including mutation, the peppered moth, Galapagos finches, bacterial and pesticide resistance, Caribbean lizards, and a local flower coloration example. How natural selection leads to evolution. Biological evolution is the gradual change in the inherited traits of a population over generations. Natural selection is one of the main processes that causes this change. For evolution to happen, there must be 1. Genetic variation, differences in traits. 2. Mutations, new traits introduced. 3. Selective pressure, like predators, food supply, or climate. Mutation and variation. Mutations are changes in DNA. Some mutations can lead to new traits, like different beak shapes or color patterns. These traits increase variation in a population, and natural selection acts on that variation. Examples of natural selection in evolution. 1. Peppered moth, England. Before pollution, light-colored moths were camouflaged on trees. During the Industrial Revolution, trees darkened due to soot. Dark-colored moths had better camouflage, survived more, and passed on their genes. The population evolved to mostly dark moths. This is evolution by natural selection. 2. Galapagos finches, Darwin's finches. Finches had different beak shapes suited to different food sources, seeds, insects, fruit. In dry years, finches with stronger beaks could crack tough seeds and survived better. Over time, the population evolved to have stronger beaks. 3. Bacterial resistance to antibiotics. Some bacteria have mutations that make them resistant to antibiotics. When antibiotics are used, resistant bacteria survive and multiply. The population evolves to become mostly resistant. 4. Pesticide resistance in insects. A few insects may carry a mutation that resists pesticides. When sprayed, most insects die, but the resistant ones survive and reproduce. Over time, the insect population becomes mostly resistant. 5. Caribbean lizards, Anole lizards. These lizards have evolved different leg lengths and toe pads based on their habitat. Long legs for ground running. Sticky toe pads for climbing trees. Natural selection favored the traits that helped them survive in different parts of the environment. This led to adaptive radiation, where one species gives rise to many with specialized traits. Local example: flower color and goats. Let's say a population of plants has red and pink flowers. Goats prefer red flowers and eat 75% of them, leaving more pink flowers to survive and reproduce. Over generations, the population may evolve to have mostly pink flowers. The goat acts as a selective pressure. Natural selection favors pink flowers because they are less likely to be eaten. In summary, natural selection chooses traits that help organisms survive and reproduce. Mutations introduce new traits, and variation allows selection to happen. Over time, helpful traits become more common, leading to evolution. Real-life examples show how natural selection leads to changes in populations.
Thanks much for watching. Please be reminded to like, share, and of course subscribe. You'll be finding ads to my online classes and a copy of my practical biology textbook, which is available on Amazon. Until we next meet, walk good.